What's going on, everybody? Mitch Gibson here with the Agency Intelligence Podcast. And I guess for my own sake, I'm doing a kind of a double record on this one, but this will be my first guest hosted show on the Agency Intelligence Podcast. And once again, thanks Jason Cass and the Agency Intelligence team for giving me the opportunity, the platform to share my story, other people's stories, and just all around bring phenomenal content, good messages to help you out in the world and going out and killing your business, killing your brand, and being the person, the authentic guy that you are or woman that you are out in the professional world. Sorry, Cass, but I'm not going to ask the first 4 or 5 questions that you usually do on the show because there's too much good that's going to come from this episode. And we need all the time that we can to make sure we are establishing a great piece and a great episode for you loyal listeners that are tuning in today, this afternoon, this month, whatever month you're listening to this at. This is one of those episodes you need to get a pen and paper out. Get a pen and paper out. Write down notes. You'll probably have 3 or 4 pages of notes because when I talk to this guest that you're going to see and hear on the show here today, I had about 3 pages of Word documents when I originally talked to him on the phone. And I can tell you right now, this is going to be an episode you won't forget. Don't ever stop listening to this episode because you will learn something different every time you listen to it. So without further ado, I want to introduce my first guest as I guest host this show, Mr. Todd Saylor.
Right.
Mr. Todd Saylor from Wired Differently. This dude is not just wired differently. We're going to get into that a little bit later and what makes us wired differently, what makes us so different in our genetic makeup. And we just got to identify what it is about ourselves that we are really good at and go out and do it and make a difference. So Todd, how's your day, man? Appreciate you doing the show today.
I got to tell you, I'm ready, willing, able to go. I'm excited. I'm just so proud of you. I got to see some of your stuff, and I tell you, I learned from the 3 conversations we've already had from you. I got to tell you, you're doing good things. I'm super proud of you. I think the energy, I think the initiative that you're taking sets examples for a lot of people. And listen, I'm 55 years old, and I'm looking at you, and I'm like, man, if I had hair, that would be me. That would be me back in the day, right? Maybe not. I think you're a little more handsome, to be honest with you.
Well, hey, if I've got the hair, but you've got the muscles and I've got nothing, I'm swallowed in a large shirt here because I can't figure out how to get in the weight room and put on some weight and look like a.
No, that was the only deal we had was, hey, if you're gonna have me on your show, you gotta wear my shirt. And so what size is that shirt?
I got an XL, but it's okay. It's cotton, so it's gonna shrink as I dry it and wash it. So it gives me an opportunity to go fill myself out in the weight room and make.
No, I don't think you need to worry about that. Let's change some people's lives here. Let's turn it on right now. Let's figure out how we can pass on and parlay this Wire Differently attitudinal disorder that we have. We got that attitudinal disorder. You know that, right?
Absolutely. No. And I think that's correct. And I want you guys to understand if first off, I'm not trying to sell off a product or sell off any services or anything, but if you haven't looked up Todd Saylor, Wired Differently on YouTube, anywhere on the great World Wide Web that we've got, look it up and just watch some of his videos and order his book and read it because there is so much that you can take from it being an individual. Somebody like me who's young, just now getting into the business or just now trying to establish my personal self and my personal brand so I can go out and kill it just like each and every single one of you loyal listeners are doing. Go do it. Go purchase it and read it and take notes and find ways to become better. And you'll understand it here when we get into a few topics. But I think one thing that makes Todd really unique is he's got that lion mentality. And I think where a lot of us get caught up in is we've got, we have conversations with somebody else in the industry. We got conversations with other professionals. We've got mentors here. We've got mentors there. We've got our own bosses. We've got our lives, our family, whatever it is. We're all so combobulated by so many different things on what is considered the right way. What is considerably that's going to help Mitch Gibson out be better? What's going to considerably help Jason Cass be a better individual, be a better professional? There's no real key to success. It's one that's going to fit for you. And when you understand who you are and what it is through your genetic makeup that makes you unique and different is when you will start winning. And we talk about all the time, finding different ways to win. So for you, Todd, you're a guy who's a go-getter, who's an entrepreneur, a guy that is full of passion, full of energy. And I knew when Cass asked me to guest host this show, there's one guy I knew I needed to get on episode 1, and it was you. And that's where I'm going to go out with this first question with you. And this is a question that is continuously asked on this show. And I think I know the answer. But do you love to win or do you hate to lose?
Oh, this is your trademark, isn't it? Grabbing somebody with that question. So listen, I think it's a easy answer, but it's probably one of those trick questions. So of course I'd love to win, but I think the successful part of me didn't really occur until I embraced and looked forward to what I was going to learn from losing. So, I mean, I went through the first half of my life at 25 or whatever age you are, and I was avoiding the losses. I was avoiding, we all should avoid the loss, don't get me wrong, but I was avoiding dealing with the loss. I feared the loss. I got sick over losing. I think as I morphed into more of a successful entrepreneur, I think I can owe most of that to the fact that I was willing to be more decisive, and I was willing to learn from the loss or the bad decision. So, I think I've learned more from losing than winning. So do I have to give an exact answer, or is that good enough?
No, that's phenomenal, because it's funny because everybody has a different answer to that question. And
well, losing, hey, listen, man, losing's done more for me in my life than winning in many, many regards. But winning is this ability to learn to be confident. My next show is going to be on this certainty versus uncertainty. And I think winning creates more certainty in your life and more confidence. And you certainly need both. You need to learn how to be certain. Uncertainty needs, I think my next topic of my message is going to be 4 turns in life. And one of the turns in life is turning uncertainty into certainty. And one way you can turn uncertainty into certainty is to certainly understand that winning begats winning, right? And winning begats confidence. And we need confidence to begin certainty and have those winning attitudes abounding in us and parlaying and moving out to other people and those types of things. But losing, on the other hand, I mean, what a question to start off with. Losing, on the other hand, is what creates our core DNA. It creates our core learning powers, right? So the interesting thing about losing and being decisive is this certainty and uncertainty, but now losing begats the whole question on whether to be decisive or indecisive. It's funny because indecisive people end up losing longer. Decisive people end up making decisions decisively, and even if the decision was wrong, they've got to the answer quicker because the decision was wrong and they were able to react. Those that are indecisive wait and procrastinate for just the right answer. It could take years for that, right? But a decisive person is willing to lose early so they can regain and learn and win sooner. I don't know, man. I'm just throwing some bombs at you. That's what we got.
Oh my Lord.
So, but you asked me the question, right? Are you mad now? Did I take
no,
up,
I'm excited.
I take up too much time.
No, I'm shocked. And this is what I'm talking about, guys. And when I say there's people out there with freaking passion and just that fire of competitiveness inside of them. I mean, the reason why we had my mouth wide open there for a second, drooling, because it was just, there was so much said that these people can listen, that the listeners can take away from this. That's going to help them gain. And the question, do you hate or do you love to win or do you hate to lose, is such a phenomenal question, because we all bring a different aspect of that, of our answer, and things that have helped me. For example, and I talked to you about this prior to us getting on the show a couple weeks ago when we had our first little conversation, and I never shared it with you. But when Jason Cass had me on this show as a guest, and he asked me,
now tell me about Jason. He's a badass, right?
Oh, Jason is a hardcore badass. Jason's phenomenal.
He's wired differently? Is he wired differently?
He's wired extremely differently.
Oh, man. Will he fit in an extra large?
We'll figure it out. I'm sure he can. Absolutely. If not,
all right, Jason, I got one coming to you, Jason. And I also want to let all your viewers to know that if you get a hold of Mitch anytime, just get a hold of him. I'll send out a free book to anybody who wants one signed, and we'll get one out to you. I really want to get behind Mitch and what he's doing here. And I just want to do that for you, Mitch. So
appreciate that.
We can do that.
Loyal listeners, if you're hearing that, shoot me a message, direct message. Go to my website, find a contact link, whatever it is. If you can't get in contact with me this day and age, you're not trying hard enough. Let's just put it that way. So, well, I don't. As far as that question goes, it's not going to be a full episode full of questions because there's a message here that I think will help every single one of you loyal listeners out there. Whether you're in the insurance industry, whether you're a CSR, whether you're in the payroll industry, whether you're in the restaurant business, this is going to be able to affect more than just people in our industry. And this is a conversation that Todd and I had, and we got talking about.
I know where you're going with this. Yeah.
The disconnection between real life, and work-life balance, and the seriousness about it. And Todd, where this goes into and why this is so important is we all talk, us people on the forefront of the insurance industry talk to these loyal listeners and other agents across the world about how important it is to make sure that you are adding value some way and somehow other than just inside of your office. People are going to buy from you, your personal brand, who you are. We're all in the sales business in some aspect of life. We're selling ourselves. So when people call Mitch Gibson or call Jason Cass to talk about insurance, they need to know who they're dealing with, just like you want to know who you're dealing with. But there's that disconnection of trying to separate your real life and your work-life balance. I told you it's a bunch of bullshit, because if you're thinking that you're going to go with a set schedule Monday through Friday or Monday through Sunday, and it's going to go how it's how you plan it to be, you're wrong. Because I don't remember the last time me or yourself has had a set scheduled and it's gone exactly how we needed to go. So if you wouldn't mind going into a little bit of work-life balance for us and what kind of message you can give out to the loyal listeners.
Yeah. So I really appreciate your show. You told me you'd keep me on my feet, and we had a couple of topics we were throwing around. And since we spoke, I'd given 2 messages. And so I had a little bit of opportunity to think about, but I think we were on this whole, I told the story. I think I remember this now, right? So I told the story about 20 some years ago. I was a little older than you. I might've been 30, right? And the church says, hey, I was a deacon at that time. And the church said, listen, Todd, we need you to speak at a men's retreat, right? Is that where we're going?
That's exactly right. Yep.
Yeah. So they said, hey, we need to speak at a men's retreat. And I'm like, yeah, I'll speak. I just want to speak, right? That's what we are. We're like one of my mentors told me, speakers speak. So one of the things you need to know, because you're natural, wired differently, dude, and one of your core gifts, Mitch, is that you're very affable, okay? You're one of those guys, and this is apart from what I'm going to say, but I just want to give you some props, because one of your gifts that you need to know, being wired differently, is owning who you are and pursuing in what you want. And so I want you to understand, one of your gifts that you need to leverage and know about yourself is that you're affable. Affable means likable. You're easily to like. You're a very likable person. Most people want to be around people that are likable. So just take that one with you and stick it in your little quiver. But so we were talking about come speak. And I said, listen, I'd love to speak. I just want to speak. And they're like, great, we want to speak. I said, what do you want me to talk about? And they said, well, since you're a leader in the church and you're running some small companies at that time and everything, we want you to speak to the men about work, life, and balance in personal life. Work-life balance. I'm like, all right, work-life balance. I got this one. Sure, I'll be there. So I drove all the way down there, and I didn't even have anything really prepared. And I was driving there, and as I realized, as I was almost pulling up into this campground retreat in the woods and speak about to like 200 men or something, I said to myself, wait a minute, work-life balance. Balance is like a dirty word to me. I mean, I literally got hot flashes, and I was sweating. I'm like, I don't have anything in my life that's balanced. I mean, there's not one thing in my life that's ever been balanced. I'm either up or I'm down, or I'm wide or I'm short, or I'm tall or I'm long. I mean, my life is just not balanced, Mitch. And I'm thinking, I've got to speak to these men about balance. So I got up there and instead of going into balance, and this is way before what I do know about now, and things have really changed in 20 years. But I think I said to the men, I said, listen, I'm the worst guy in the world to talk about balance, but let's talk about where society wants us to be balanced. And I think that's where we can jump off right now, because society back then, and society even now to some people, they want you to departmentalize. They want you to departmentalize balance with your family, balance with your job, and then somewhere find time for God, So we've got equal parts family, equal parts God, equal parts work, right? You go home and you be with your family. You go to church and you be with God. You go to work and you work, and you got this triangulate this separate balance, right? No mas. No mas. It's just not going to happen. And so what I was challenging you with when we were having our casual conversation is quit fighting it, people. Quit fighting the fact that it's never, I don't think it's ever been that way. I think we were conditioned to think things were supposed to be a certain way. And I strongly believe part of my success and part of what you're grasping now in your life, in your world, and what I'm seeing you being successful is that you're embracing that work life should be in harmony with God, in harmony with business. Some of us can't relax at night unless we get through our emails. And back in the day, we didn't have emails, but it's just, you can't sleep unless you're settled. And now life has changed, and it's okay if you got to go get you. Some people will tell you, and it's okay if you take God into work with you, right? And it's okay if you take your family into work with you, right? It's okay if we just make this big cocktail and slush it all up, and we just got this work-life harmony and not worried about balance, because no thing about balance is balance. I mean, one of my best friends in the world is Nick Wallenda. And if you watch Nick Wallenda, he walks across Grand Canyon and the high rise and the volcanoes and all kinds of crazy shit. I mean, he's just a spectacular fear master. But he'll say people will say he's balancing, but if you watch him walk, he's going like this, right? And he's never like this. And that's what life is like, Mitch. You're always a little here. You're a little here. And so to strive for balance is one thing, I suppose, but to embrace the fact that where you're weak, you become strong, and where you're strong, you need to be moderate. And when you need to move all these things around in your life. And now when we talk about life and work, think about it. We've just been shut down.
Stop real quick, because I want you to get back into it. But there's a point there that I want to make for these guys, these listeners listening to this show, whether you're listening or watching it. It's okay to not be balanced, is where he's getting at right this second, guys. It's okay. If you're one of those people that want to, let's say for me, being a business owner, and not just being a business owner, but being an inspirational business owner and someone that's making a difference, goal for me. If you think being balanced right this second is going to help that dream come true, you're completely wrong. Or if you're not satisfied with where you're at in the agency that you're with, or as an agency owner, or as a CSR or field rep, whatever it is that you're doing in the insurance industry, if you're satisfied with where you're at, that's perfectly fine. Stay there, because there's other people out there that want to grind. There's other people out there that want to succeed, but it's not going to be someone that's got a straightforward, balanced lifestyle. 50% with my family, 50% with my job, 50%, whatever it could be. Whatever it could be. It's okay to be different in that aspect. And the quicker you understand and accept that sometimes your day or weeks or months or years, hell, we just went through 2020. It's not going to go the same way you expected it to be. If your 2020 went the same way that you thought it was going to be, something happened, something went wrong. Because I know mine didn't. Mine was great, but it went a totally different way than I thought it was going to go. And I'm blessed for that, because it's opened up a new avenue and it opened up a new mindset to me in the insurance industry that I never saw before. So sorry to get off the high horse there.
Bring it, man. I like it.
No,
I like it. I'm just taking notes.
Sorry to get off that, but I get where you're going.
That's your job, and you got to dial me in. You got to keep your listeners, and I'll just go, right. You got to call time out. So I guess my point of this is where I was going with that is I think you got to own the fact what makes you tick. You got to own the fact that sometimes you're too heavy in work, and sometimes you're too heavy in life, and sometimes maybe, I don't know how you could be too heavy in God, but sometimes we go on and we take more time with him than other things. And so I think you need to be aware of all those things and all those pieces of your life that you're trying to balance. But I guess I really want to share with you, you brought up 2020. And I think 2020, one of the best things 2020 did for us was flush out this balanced hypocrisy hype. Look at you. You had internet problems in an office, in a home. You're not in an office, and you got your kids running around. I saw you a couple days ago. We were working on this, and you're working with your kid in your house, and you got an animal here, and you're there. And I got to tell you, I mean, if there isn't a better picture of work-life harmony than you, I don't know what could be, man. You're working, you're living, you're raising pets and children all in one Zoom shot.
That could damn near be a reality TV show.
I mean, I'm just telling you. So that's work-life harmony. So get off the balance train, because balance does nothing but keep. You know what balance is? Let me tell you what balance is. Balance is Xanax, and Xanax is a drug and a mood stabilizer, and we don't want any of that. We don't need that. God made us to be bipolar. God made us to be depressed. God made us to be happy. God made us to have emotion. We can't be balanced. If we're balanced all the time, we're drones. We're damn zombies. I watch those video games. I don't want to be one of those. I want to be happy. I want to be sad. I want to be angry. I want to be joyful. I want all those things. And I know I'm getting on a tangent, but I really want to encourage your listeners, and I want to encourage anybody that's listening, is growing and building a family and building a company and trying to serve the Lord all at the same time. There's no such thing as buckets anymore. Your cell phone is with you, your family is with you, and God is always with you. And that's a really important cocktail. And if that's all I got to say in that regards, because I'll get onto another tangent and I'll get all heated up.
Well, we'll get you heated back up again with this one, because I think too, the difference, and you just said like if you're listening now and you just heard Todd talk about how when he was talking to me this morning or talking to me yesterday or a couple weeks ago when he saw the kids running around with the dogs and establishing that, chaos. And I think
time out. My turn. So here, let me tell your viewers about you. So we were practicing for the show, getting everything set up and everything. And this guy, are you single, by the way?
I am, but I'm
all right. If there's any single ladies out there, okay. Well, anyways, this guy is so amazing. We're in the middle of preparing for a show and everything, and he's got a beautiful home, and he's got all this stuff going on, and all of a sudden, his little 2-year-old girl comes walking out, and we're in a very important piece, and he says, "Excuse me, Mr. Saylor." I said, "Cool. What's up?" He says, "Just one moment." He gets out of his chair, goes all the way around to the back of the room, and his little 2-year-old girl, is beautiful blonde-haired girl, and she's just like, "Daddy, can you help me?" And he stops, and he grabs a balloon off the ceiling, and he hands it to her, and he comes back, and he never missed a beat in the interview. Now that is life harmony right there.
I appreciate that. But here's the thing about it, and if you haven't done a Zoom call or if you haven't been on a virtual talk with anybody, which I'm sure if you say you don't, then I call BS, because of how 2020 reacted and how we all had to adjust and get back on the train, right? Well, for me, it's being authentic, like understanding, setting that mood. Like when I'm first talking to somebody, like, "Hey, let's just let you know, I'm at my house working virtually, or I'm at my house working remotely. You might hear my kids running around." That one in the sales aspect makes it fun, because you just start talking about a different conversation. It has nothing to do with what your guys are trying to sell or what you're trying to have a conversation about. It just drives another different conversation. But at the end of the day, there's that respect factor from the person you're talking to who respectfully understand. And at the end of the day, what makes it so easy for me to I guess, work from home or have that chaotic work-life balance is the passion I have for what it is my task is at hand that day or that second. And that's where I want to lead you into this next topic or conversation, Todd, is if you don't have passion for what you're doing, you need to get off the shit and go do something different. Because if you're not passionate about it, you're probably not going to be passionate about it in 5-10 years. So you have to be passionate, whether it's your family, whether it's God, whether it's, coaching baseball, playing football collegiately like you did, whatever it could be. I mean, has that sense of passion for what you've done always been there? Or have you yourself picked out, I'm passionate about this. This is what I'm going to be successful at?
Yeah. So I'm just going to close the first question up chapter real quick. And I just want everyone to make sure that what I would like people to learn from the work-life harmony conversation is that I want you to embrace it. I want you to not beat yourself up about not having enough dinner time with your kids, or enough time at the church, or enough time at the workplace on any given day, and understand that that harmony is natural, it's normal, and I need you to leverage that and use that and figure out ways to continue to work and push through and have that harmony in all avenues of your balanced cocktail. So own that. I really mean that. I think that'll drive you to another level of success. Now, secondly, as far as passion, the question was, have I always had passion, or have I known what the passion was for? Is that what the question was?
Yeah, more so like so with you, I mean, you've got what, 13, 14 businesses that you've built, and you're continuously being an entrepreneur at a high level, and because you're passionate about it. I mean, has that passion always been to be an entrepreneur since you let's go back maybe to college at DePaul playing football? I mean, what did the passion of leadership, or the passion of being competitive?
First of all, it was Manchester University.
Manchester, I'm sorry, man. That's terrible.
I can't let that one go.
Terrible. Yeah, Manchester. Yeah. Excuse me, Manchester. I apologize.
Yeah, you got the right conference area and all that kind of stuff. So,
but passion.
I give you credit for that, but you got. At least you didn't say Ohio State or something like that. Oh well. I wasn't good enough to play at Ohio State, so there you go. So here's the deal. I think that question really would go all the way back to your very first question, because I think early on in life, it was this whole thing. I mean, I was raised to win at everything. My dad was a high school football coach, and I still have my dad. He's almost 80, but he was the winningest football coach in the history of football, high school football, in many regards, any form of football, until the 80s. He had won 72 games in a row, never lost or tied a game in high school. And they wrote a little book about him and tried to make a movie. It turns out that the movie finally got made, and they got an argument over rights, and ABC wanted to make it a TV show, and the guy who made the documentary about my dad and Friday night football games wanted to make it a TV show on ABC, and the producer wanted to be a major motion picture. And so the Steve Gebhardt, the producer of the documentary of Raise the Flag for Hudson High, passed on the ABC TV show called Friday Night Lights, and they turned out and went with a different coach and storyline. So there's a little story on my dad, but he's still having. But I watched my dad from the year 1968 to 1975 never lose a football game as a 7-year-old boy till I was probably 13 or something crazy like that. So winning was ingrained, and so it wasn't about losing or understanding as a little boy what you were feeling. I did a show just the other day on, you don't choose your culture when you're 10 years old. I mean, culture is thrust on you, right? And that particular scenario back in the day was a white community. I'd never even seen a black person until I was probably 17 years old in the 60s and the 70s, right? And so that culture of white America was thrust on me. That culture of winning football was thrust on me. And so I'm going to give you a word, neuroplasticity. Neuroplasticity is the ability of your brain to conform and to change and to grow consistently. So it's an amazing miracle God created with us. And that's really what Wired Differently is about, creating that mind and rewiring it to do the things that you need it to do. But when you're a kid, in your subconscious, that neuroplasticity of your brain is formed by my community was the whiteness of the community. My community was winning football games, right? And so my passion was really about winning. That's all I understood. And so passion first was about winning. Now the neuroplasticity of my brain, the piece of my subconscious that I learned to train was how to gain from losing, right? See how you come all the way back around with your show and see how smart you are, the way you lay things out. You're a genius. So the passion was ingrained to winning, but I think the neuroplasticity, this idea of transforming or rewiring your subconscious to be all you can be, to do all you want to do, and to gain all those things, Robbins and Napoleon Hill and Jim Rohn and Earl Nightingale and Earl Schoaf and all these guys. And I do a version of the 5Ds as well. But the point of the matter is, that's what came first. But then when I transitioned from winning just because winning was ingrained in me as a culture to a passion on winning in life and winning in all things and understanding how you win and even loss. That's where I think winning in business became a passion, and how you win. That's where it changed for me.
The cool thing too is that once that the real, I guess the common trait here between you or I don't think I'm the only one that's in the business that has probably used this sport or something that they've done athletic wise that's helped them get to where they are now. And you know, so I look back at even baseball for me, whether it was when my parents had a baseball facility and I stayed up at the baseball facility 7 days a week, and that gave 5'8", 145-pound Mitch Gibson the chance to work his ass off and go play Division I baseball, when usually that size of a body and guy doesn't really get a chance to have that Division I baseball experience. But it was that push, that drive, that passion for the game, that passion that my family had, that passion that my cousin has, that whatever it could be, that led me knowing that if you don't have passion in every single thing that you're doing, then there's someone else that's gonna fly past you. And that's why you talk with such enthusiasm. That's why you talk with such passion, is because you're enthusiastic and passionate about Todd Saylor and who Todd Saylor is, because Todd Saylor helps. Todd Saylor helps other people. Todd Saylor helps businesses grow. Todd Saylor helps his employees grow. Todd Saylor helps his colleagues, his friends, family, whoever it is. You're not in a world of being successful if you're not out to try to help. And that's why this show is so fun and enjoying for me, is because it's helping other people. Whether, like I said, whether it's in the insurance industry, whether it's someone that's just an overall business professional. I think this episode is going to attack it and really target a lot more other people than just in the insurance business. But it's the daggone passion behind someone's voice. And guys, when you're out selling, or when you're out having meetings, or if you're out speaking, the only way that it's going to be a true message is if it comes from the heart and it's something you're passionate about. And if you're in the insurance business and you're not passionate about the insurance business, get out and save room for somebody else that is. I'm just being honest about it. Does that make sense, Todd? You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. Yeah. And I think you touched on self. And, it's funny because as I started to develop the brand and who I was and everything, and one of the speeches I went out early on, and I had a friend that was a speaker. His name is Del Toro McNeil. Great, amazing, like the greatest man in the world. Yeah, I'd love for you to meet him. But I got out in front of the audience and I said, I want to talk to you all about something, my favorite subject. And they all kind of looked at me and I went, me.
Yep.
And my mentor, my coach at that time, Del Toro, he just shrunk. He's like, what? I told you never to do that. I'm like, listen, Del, I mean, if Mitch doesn't love Mitch, he can't help other people love themselves. If I don't love myself, more importantly, if I don't study my favorite subject, I won't know it. Right? If your favorite subject is science and you need to know it, you're going to study it. You're going to know all the molecules. You're going to know all the form. You're going to know all those things, right? Well, if your favorite subject needs to be you so that you can share it with other people, then you need to study yourself. You need to deal with your biases. You need to deal with your shortcomings. You need to deal with your insecurities. You need to deal with your certainties, uncertainty. You need to be honest about who you are. Because one of the most important things I'm going to tell you right now, Mitch, you need to know who you are to be able to become who you want to be. And very few of us come out of the womb in a position to be who you want to be at the age of 1 year old, right? And so, my father said, you're going to be a teacher, right? Well, I didn't want to be a teacher, but I didn't realize that until I worked on me. And I can't share my leadership values with the people I'm leading. I mean, as many as 400 employees at any given time, I can't share those values with them if I don't know what they are, right? And so let me tell you what, right now, my favorite subject is me. right? And until I could say that, I was raised not to say that. But I was even coached not to say that. You know, back in the day when I was growing up, if you had a picture of yourself in your wallet, you were vain. You know how many pictures I have of myself on my iPhone? Come on, man. I mean, I had to upgrade my iPhone because I didn't have enough storage for pictures of myself. Come on, Mitch.
But you're true. But it's true, and that's where I think, guys. I want to kind of take a little quick step back on about a month ago when, I guess 2 months ago, when Cass asked me to do this and guest host the show, and we talked about, when I was on Cass's show, about identifying your personal self and identifying your brand. If you are not happy with yourself, or just like Todd say, if your favorite subject isn't about yourself, how are people supposed to understand and buy from that person? It's just like, Amazon, for example. I mean, we know what Amazon is because the CEO did a hell of a job identifying what that brand is, but he wouldn't have been able to do that if he didn't know who his self was,
right?
What his personal brand is. And I told you, and I told Jason, Todd, that it took me about a year and a half ago to understand who Mitch Gibson realistically was. I thought I did. I grew up with this way of here's who I am. I'm this happy-go-lucky, jolly guy. Life's lollipops and gumdrops. Life's going to work out great. That's completely wrong. When you get smacked in the face by something that has nothing to do with maybe your career, but has something to do personally, it really makes you sit back and think and reach out and watch and listen to other people about what you can do as a person. Set aside your career for a second. What can you do as a person to help you become the best version of yourself?
Right.
And
think,
go ahead.
I think that the difference in the ego side of me saying, when I say my favorite subject is me, notice I'm smiling when I'm saying it. Notice I'm pointing myself when I'm saying it. And I'm forcing you to smile, and you get it because I'm saying me, right? You don't hear me saying my favorite subject is me. There's a lesson in that. And I think that the person who says me understands that it's funny, but serious, because I am into me because I need to be into Mitch, right? But if you don't go into being into yourself for the purpose of being into Mitch, then you are an egocentric, borderline narcissist. So narcissistic traits are okay to a point, I guess, being positive and thinking. You got to be a bit of a narcissist to be Elon Musk to believe that you can actually put an effing rocket ship on Mars, right? Nobody believes that, but he does. And a narcissist to some degree has to have just an increment bigger belief structure in himself. But the point of the matter is, Elon Musk and Todd Saylor and Mitch Gibson want to be right for other people. Don't forget that.
I like that. Now, I guess we're going to try to hit back towards we'll stick on the brand topic here for a couple seconds, because maybe it might take somebody to go through something, some adversity for them to be able to realize that, and maybe sit back and rethink what, who they are as a person, or what their personal brand is, their moral and ethical decisions that they make on a day-to-day basis, who they want to be perceived. And I know you said this before, and it was on your message that really hit me home in my heart. It was what's your brand, damn it. And you talked about, there's one part of that series that you talked about. It was, there's two ways to establish your brand. The one you decide, or the one society decides for you. And if you think that's wrong, people, you're flat out stupid.
There's only two types of brands in this world. The brand that you choose, or the brand that they choose for you. That's the quote. And you got it just right. Very good.
And I love that because it's true. But maybe for Todd, maybe you can speak to these guys for a second. But for maybe those people who might need that sit down and think mentality for a second, and I'd maybe rethink their self and where their brand needs to be. Where does step one come into play? What's a good way for them to start that process?
For the branding?
Yeah, for themselves. I mean,
For
identifying the
themselves.
personal brand.
Right. So the personal brand whole topic, I'm glad you brought that up. The personal brand topic was the genesis of me putting together personal and work. This harmony piece is always in every one of my messages. So if I'm going to speak on how to lead a company, it's the same principles that I can use to lead myself. And so the concept of that message was built around, we're going to talk about businesses in your brand. And I'm like to myself, that's crazy, Todd. How can you talk about a business brand when it's more important that you have your own brand that you need to establish as much as before you can even establish a business brand? And so it just fits into the kind of the harmony side of Wire Differently in the shows. So whenever I talk about a business leader, I'm challenging that same business leader to love his employees. And I'm also telling him to love his wife and his children, so we got these two pillars going up at the same time, and we're using the same principles and moving on. So as far as for your first brand, I think the first thing we would want to talk about is, do you want a brand? I mean, some people, I think, don't even want a brand. They don't even think about it. And I think that's where you're parlaying off. If you don't know about it, then you're going to be given one. And I think the conversation was more about, do you even have a brand? Because some of us are born into wealth. And I know about those people, and I know how they're branded. Some people are born into poverty, and I'm sure they're branded from where they were born and where they're running around and some of the trouble they've been in. And so I think that you need to, the first step to your question is, think about what your brand, whether you've ever thought about it or not, what is your brand? Because you have one. And you need to own whatever that is. So just for example, if you were born into a very wealthy family and you're driving around in a Range Rover, I don't know why I'm going to tell this story, but I'm just partial to it. The other day I was walking and I had a hoodie on, and I'm going to get a little cultural here. And there was a nice black man. He was cleaning a car on the roadside, and I stopped over to talk to him. And I said, "What's your name? How you doing? I like the work you're doing on this car." And he said, "My name is Tommy," or something like that. "And I'm from the Virgin Islands, and I'm going to be a pro baseball player, and I'm playing over at IMG." I said, "Great, great, great." I said, "Are you cleaning cars?" He goes, "Yep." He says, "I've been cleaning this car for 5 hours." And I said, "What are they paying you?" And he said, $20. I said, "Oh, Tommy, 5 hours for $20. He goes, "That's a good pay in Virgin Island." I said, "Not here, especially you're doing great work." And so I gave him my name, and he pulled me up, and he's like, "Oh, you're wired differently." It was kind of cool to see all that play out. But as I was leaving, there was a car of 4 or 5 people in it, and it was a Range Rover. And in the Range Rover, it was 4 or 5 white girls. And as I was leaving, a 17, 18-year-old girl looked over at me in my hoodie and said, "Why are you talking to him? He's got work to do. I'm paying for him to get this done." Right? I don't even need to say anymore.
Right.
I looked at Tommy and I said, "Nice to meet you, Tommy. You got my number." And I just walked by that girl, and she gave me this stink eye, and I never said a word. And so I don't like to get emotional. I just can't help it. And so little Tommy, he had a brand, right? He doesn't know it. His brand is hard worker, a little naive, going to make it in America, going to be a baseball player, hopefully. The young lady, 16, 17-year-old, hanging out in a Range Rover, bossing me and Tommy around, has a brand. So you asked me a serious question. I'm gonna give you a serious answer.
Speak it, baby.
You really need to know what your brand is right now where you're sitting. You need to be honest about yourself. If you're that young lady bossing me and Tommy around for $20 and for 5 hours worth of work, you need to have a heart to heart with yourself, because life is just not that way, and it's not gonna work out for you. If you're Tommy, you need to have a heart to heart with yourself. You know, you're in America now. Damn it, charge $25 an hour, baby, and go hit some dingers, because I got your back, baby. So I guess what I'm trying to say is we all got a brand. And I got a little dramatic there, but that girl really ticked me off, right? And I gave her a brand right on the spot. And you're giving her one too. I know what you're thinking. And I gave her a brand. I gave him a brand right on the spot. And I'm moving on down the road. I mean, people are looking at you, Mitch, and they're branding you.
Right.
And so if you haven't ever had that conversation or that thought in your head, I think you need to sit still right now and say, what is my brand? Be purposeful about what your brand is now. Next step. Do you like it? Do you like that brand? If you like that brand, double down on it. Keep doing what you're doing. If you don't like that brand, change it. Right? Change it.
God, if you're watching this, I got a big grin on my face, and it's so funny because you said it is so contagious. I mean, God bless America. You know, like you said, you know what I'm talking about? Like, you just looking right at you, and you can't help but to smile or giggle or laugh, because it's his brand. It's who he is. For the love of God, it's who he is that makes him so fun, that makes him love himself. I love Mitch Gibson. I love myself. He loves himself. You've got to love yourself, people. But you got to know what it is that you love about yourself, which will be that separator. Which I think transforms into the sales aspect of things, Todd. And I got one more thing. Let's dive into for a second. You know, you've got topics talk about sales all the time, and it's that. For me, the sales world in the insurance business changed dramatically once I had that conversation with myself and sat there and figured out my brand and figured out who I was. And then the selling went a lot better for me. It was easier because people knew who I was. People were able to see who I was. And I don't know about you, but I want to do business with people that I like. Mm-hmm. And I really love doing business with people that I love. That's why I love having this show right now. That's why I love talking to you. That's why I love what you have to say. But getting into the selling aspect of it, how important is owning your brand? How important is owning your brand translate into you selling, or you going after what that dream is?
Well, so a little bit about me. In the 90s, from 94 to 2003, I was in between there. I was the top salesman in the whole nation for an industry called the PEO industry, which is a version of payroll for conversation sakes. And I own a nationwide HCM now called PayServ Systems Incorporated, which is a different industry. But the company I was with, ESI out of Phoenix, Arizona, that I was a prolific sales performer in, was $1 billion company by the time it ended in 2001 maybe. And I had amassed 300 million of the sales of the $1 billion company. So I was a third of the entire sales of the entire publicly traded company. And so I guess what I'm trying to say about sales and transition of sales and knowing yourself is confidence. I think that as I became better at what I did, became more certain about what I did, and became, and this is a two-pronged approach here. The better I got at it, because people want to buy from competent people. They want to buy from competent people, and they want to buy from confident people. And I think that your success begets more success in your confidence. You become an authority, you become confident in your skin, you're able to do what I would call master the 5 T's: told, taught, tugged, tamed, or teamed, right? So if you're confident in who you are, you're confident in your product, and more importantly, you know your product is serving them, you're free. You have no weight on you. The worst thing in the world is to be selling a product you don't believe in. I would just rather just like poke my eyeballs to go.
Say those 5 T's again real quick.
So we'll get to the 5 T's, but the 5 T's will allow you to told, taught, tugged, tamed, or teamed.
Good. Okay. Sorry. I wanted to reiterate that a little bit.
Right. And so this confidence, this understanding your product allows you to then be free about selling. You're not going to sell a life insurance policy, Mitch, that you don't believe in. Some people don't believe in selling term life. It's just like burning money, right? I believe in term life, but I have a reason why I believe in term life, because I believe someone could buy term life and then turn around and take the difference in that premium and invest it into Microsoft or invest it into, it's just what they're going to do with it and take a bigger hit, right? So now I just sold life insurance. I just sold term life insurance, which I don't think is really good for you because it's like burning money, but I just figured out a way to make sure that someone else can make a winning off of it and protect their life for their loved ones, right? So I feel great about that. Why wouldn't anybody buy $1 million of term life off of Mitch when he gives them a sound investment opportunity for the back end of that $200 or $300 a month, right? Maybe he's not a Series 6 guy, but he's certainly going to turn you on to a Series 6 guy because that's the kind of guy Mitch is, right? So why not buy a life insurance policy from him, even a term life? Get something going. My point of the matter is you feel it, you know it, you become it. And so once you're there, you can look at your prospect and you can learn to understand them. Because the art of selling, or the gift that you may have of selling, is convincing or helping someone be convinced themselves on their own fruition to buy what you're selling. If you're telling them to buy a life insurance policy, right, and you don't give them any latitude to figure out why life insurance is better for them to buy than maybe a whole life in their situation, and they don't figure out that they can reinvest the difference on their own, it's a harder sell. But if you show them the way, you lead them down the path because they need to be told or they need to be taught, tugged, or teamed, if you let them come to their own conclusion, well, hey, Mitch, so I got it. You know what I'm thinking? If I save that premium difference on the whole life and I buy your term life and I take that extra $300 a month and I just stick it away in Bitcoin or something like that, because I like to invest, I might be better off. You know what? You're right. There's a lot of people that do that. You see how you turned the narrative to where you're educating the buyer? And some buyers want to be educated. Like some guys like me walk into a guy like Mitch and say, Mitch, I need life insurance. What do I got to do? You've been doing it for 40 years and 20 years or whatever it is. And just tell me what I got to do. I got to go. I don't have time for this. He needs told what to do.
Yep.
Most of your young sales need to be taught. Some of them need to be tugged. But that's your job to figure out that personality trait so that you can help them come to the conclusion that's right for them on their own.
I agree. And that's the thing that I try to take into account when I'm, whether it's a, manufacturer that I'm working on a quote for on the PNC side, or whether it's that first time home buyer. I love, and I was just telling you my little relationship I've got with Remax and how that's the home for my recording studio. I know I'm not there right now because of COVID regulations and CDC guidelines, but when I'm in Remax doing nothing about insurance and I'm literally just recording and offering up help to people in the studio if they need help with content creating, whatever it is, they find out what Mitch Gibson does, and I'm going to have those conversations with those real estate agents in there and leave them with a pile of business cards and talk to them about the products and services that HRM Insurance and that Mitch Gibson has. I'm not trying to sell them up off of I'm trying to sell them. I'm trying to sell myself to them. So I'm giving them the background of who I am. I'm adding value to them because in return, sometimes the insurance piece on the financial side, when they're getting a mortgage from the mortgage lender, having a cheaper insurance policy, a quality insurance policy, but it's going to fit a premium that's going to fit in their PMI, that's going to make sure that they have the monthly payment that they're supposed to be at. I love first-time home buyers, young guys, because I can help them understand the actual insurance policy they are purchasing and why it's important that they purchase this. You just invested in a brand new home, $300,000, $400,000 home. This is why you need this policy. This is why you need this endorsement. This is why you need water and sewer backup. Because if you decide to go blow up the toilet and the water sewer backup blows right back through there and it damages your paint, your floor, your carpet, your anything in your bathroom, your kitchen, because the sewer backed up. You need that. Do you have $10, $15, $20,000 laying around to remodel it after you just have a shitty situation literally in your bathroom?
You didn't do that, did you?
I know. I had to say it. It sounded too good not to. But the key to the thing is like
I'm buying from you, man. Throw toilet paper in with the deal.
Yeah, hey, toilet paper. That might be a good selling tool with how scarce it is now.
Yeah.
But being able to add that value to that customer, whoever you're doing business with, whoever you're mentoring with, whoever your mentor is, find ways to help adding value to each other is so important. And I think Todd will say it too, is having mentors is a huge part of the success that I've had so far. And it's guys like Todd and other people in the industry that have helped me grow into the person that I am in the short year and a half, almost 2 years now. But you can't be afraid to ask for help either. I mean, Todd, if you think Todd hasn't gone, and maybe he has, but if you think Todd's gone all this way and been as successful as he had without not asking for help, you're wrong. Right, Todd? You've had to ask for help from somebody or some sense of what path should I go?
You helped me fix the Zoom call.
I did. I did. I
was like, hey, help me out here, bro. I'm wandering. We may not ever get this going. And we even practiced this morning. You helped me this morning, then you had to help me go live.
True story, people. True story, listeners.
It's bad.
Technology is great when it works.
Technology is great when you got Mitch.
What'd you say?
Technology is great when you got Mitch.
Hell, I wish I was smart. I wish I was a little bit more nerdier because I'd make a hell of a lot of money being it. But no, I'm going to kind of wrap things up here. And this is one of my favorite questions. This is nothing that Cass asks on the show, people, but I'm going to start asking as you guys hear these next couple months in this series that I'm putting together for you loyal listeners to listen to. But a phenomenal question that I ask on my own podcast locally in my county. A question that I like to ask if I'm just sitting on a phone conversation with someone working through a consulting, piece on content creating, whatever it is that someone I'm having a conversation with. I love asking this question because it helps myself and it helps everybody else that's out there in the world. But if there was one piece of advice, this
question, I'm nervous. You're like, I want everyone to know I didn't prep for this guy. I mean, I prepped, but he didn't give me these questions. So I do a whole thing called On the Spot. And if you go to my YouTube channel, which I hope you can get there, Todd Saylor, Wired Differently, or Wired Differently, Todd Saylor. Lots of good content on the spot. All my speeches are there. A lot of good stuff. All right, give me the question. Give it to me.
And that was a thing too. That was a month when we talked to about a month ago. That was a thing. I was like, okay, I said I can pre-send you these. No, he said nope. And that's how I love it. I don't want them to know what's coming, and that's usually what brings out the most genuine and authentic answer he can come up with. So this one right here is fun, and I think you'll probably have a pretty good answer for it. But for anybody out in the world, if you had one piece of advice, whether they're just now starting in professionally, whether in the middle of their career, going through a midlife crisis, divorce, whatever it is, if you give one piece of advice to anybody out in the world, what would it be?
So I'm going to qualify this. Right now, I would give you this, and I don't think it's the right answer, or the right thing for everybody. But here's what's on my mind right now. For some reason, when you said if there's one thing, and so I have this reoccurring question that comes to me from other people or from my mind, or that I think if there's two things I could give to anybody to be successful in life, I would tell them that the most important two things that you have with you is integrity and timing. And I know I'd like to give you God and all those understanding, but I think for the question type that we're kind of leaning around here, I think we could probably even encompass most of that in that answer. I think that if you can have the right cocktail of timing and integrity, there's nothing you can't do in this world. And I think that what I would throw back on the answer, the question asker, and that would back, yeah.
I like it. No, that's unique. That's the first time I've ever heard something like that. But it's also coming from a different person, different personality trait. But no, I love it because it makes your mind think too. And for that question, I think it hits home to a lot of people. For me, that's how I learn, is by asking questions, asking for the help and the guidance. And for someone who, and everybody I've had on the show, or everybody that I'm recording with, is going to be able to bring some powerful information, because I wouldn't be talking to them if they weren't successful, because I want to talk to people that have worked their ass off to where they are, because that's who I want to be like that. I want to be that hard worker. And the only way for me to learn, you've never lived that life. Hell, maybe you have in your previous life, whatever it is, but I've never lived that lifestyle. I wasn't around it. So I need to educate myself and learn. So no, a good answer. That's a really good answer, Todd.
Yeah, I mean, because it captures both, I think, probably the spiritual side and the good side of being a human being, but it also recognizes that life isn't fair. You know, life isn't fair.
It's not.
It just isn't fair. I mean, I don't do a whole show on that, but I think when you say timing, it's crucial. You got to buy stock at the right time. You gotta invest in yourself at the right time. Your timing is crucial. You could be the best in the world at any given thing, but if you don't have good timing, and then the flip side is if you have great timing and you have lousy integrity, it'll destroy whatever you did in the timing, right? So that's where we're at. I know it wasn't one thing, but it was one answer with 2 points.
That's all I need is an answer, some guidance, I'm going to bring into a segment that I'm adding to the show for Cass, whether he likes it or not. I like to call a little rapid fire questions, get to know you, the guest, a little bit more. These are fun, quirky, kind of interesting little questions. I got 5 of them for you. First one, favorite flavor of ice cream?
Vanilla.
Oh my God. They're the second guy.
French vanilla, to be completely accurate.
Okay, that's better than just plain vanilla. I had a guy, I'm not going to, and I've already recorded most of these shows that are coming out in the next couple of weeks to months, guys. But I had another guy asking the same question. He said vanilla ice cream. I'm like, when someone has asked me that, like, I can think of going down kind of in the area of where you live, Sarasota, wherever it is, and going down to one of those soft serve boardwalk ice cream places. I'm not getting vanilla. I'm getting something like cookie dough or something that's just going to absolutely give me a sugar rush.
Oh, but you can do so much with vanilla, man. You can put everything on it. You didn't say toppings. Come on now.
Okay, let's do that. Your favorite, I guess, ice cream combobulation or conjunction?
Hot fudge, vanilla French, vanilla hot fudge, whipped cream. Oh, I love the hot fudge.
You cherry on top?
Nope, don't like the cherry.
Good, okay.
I don't like the cherry.
I love it. I don't either.
Don't put the damn nuts on there and just give me that hot fudge. All right, that's it. Moving on.
Next question. What's your favorite color?
Blue.
What's your favorite vehicle or your favorite vehicle brand?
Ford.
Built Ford tough, baby. Last question here. What's your favorite? I guess this can be a 2-part question because
bring it.
Where you lived and where you are now. What's your 2 favorite local food restaurants to eat at, whether you're in Indiana or in Florida?
Tom's Donuts.
I got to get up and check out Tom's Donuts.
And Tom's Donuts, burgers, and fries.
Where's Tom's Donuts located for everybody out there in the world?
Angola, Indiana.
Angola, Indiana. Okay, favorite local
Lake James, Indiana.
Favorite local place to eat down in the good old sunny state of Florida?
I'm gonna say, just because I took my wife out to a secret blindfolded dinner last night. It wasn't just a random thing, and we had such a good time. And can't tell you the food is great, but we had a great time. Outback restaurant, man. My wife and I, we snuck in there and I had it all ready for her. And I said, she drove from work and I drove there, and I just gave her coordinates. I texted her turn right, turn left, get out of the car, put your mask on, don't look back. And she had to answer yes, sir on every, she did, yes, sir. I didn't say yes, sir.
Hey, but hopefully she put the car in park before she got out.
Yeah, but so we went through the whole thing. She had no idea where I was taking her. I had her park at Hobby Lobby or something like that. And so I guess the answer is Outback right now, because I had such a great time with my wife and we laughed, and I don't know, the food was okay, but she was amazing.
That's all it's about. I love that. Guys, listen, if you're listening to this and you're wanting to get some kudo points and treat your significant other, spouse right, listen to Todd there. Listen to Todd. That's some good stuff right there. Well, Todd, once again, I do appreciate your time today, guys. This won't be the last time I have Todd on the show. It won't be the last time I do some content pieces with Todd, because he's one of a kind, and he's a guy that I truly am inspired by and appreciate everything that he's doing, not just for the people in the Wired Differently world, but for everybody out in the world, especially with the disconnection that sometimes this world has. But it's guys like Todd, other people in the industry that make it fun, enjoyable, exciting, and fun, a great time to be alive and well and always out there making a difference. Todd, before we hop off, well, where can people find you at social media wise? YouTube? Where can people find out?
Yeah, I think I could really use everyone's help on YouTube. I'm just starting to build that channel. So Wired Differently, Todd Saylor, subscribe and hit the alert. I'm doing a live show on my Wired Differently Facebook page, my personal Todd Saylor page, actually with Tom's Donuts page, and then on YouTube every Sunday night at 5 o'clock. We're having a lot of fun with that, a lot of good learning things. Right now, I'll be speaking here, and I think we're gonna do a big virtual conference in March. We're not doing it in person, but I got EdgeCon 2021, overcoming an overcomer's formula. I'll be speaking on the right formula, my formula for overcoming adversity in your life. It's going to be a great message. EdgeCon 2021. Google that, search that, or reach out to me, and maybe I can help you get a discount on that virtual ticket. There's going to be 7 or 8 great speakers. Good friend Dave Kaufman and I have worked on that. It's his event, and he's been a good friend of mine. He's who I was on the radio with prior to all this, and we kind of got that media start together, and he's doing wonderful things. Be a great event for people to come to that on a virtual perspective. And I just think those are the channels. Those are great. And if you want to Google me, Todd Saylor, get with Mitch, and I'll get you a book, Wired Differently. My next book coming out, Drift Again, The 7 Traits of Wired Differently People, is done. I just got to clean it up a little bit, and we're shooting for April for that. And my third book, Purposely, Supremely Purposeful, I'm writing right now. So
say that 10 times fast, people.
Yeah, I might change the name to just Supremely Purposeful, but I'll let you figure that one out, Mitch. So that's kind of what's going on with me. Tom's Donuts is one of my brands. PayServ Systems Incorporated is a nationwide HCM, human capital management company. It's my largest company and a big brand. I have a staffing company. I have a lot going on. So I think the fun part is just follow me on Wired Differently. Let's do this thing called life together. I'm excited to do that. I'm excited to be a part of your team, Mitch, and to support you. And I got to tell you, you give me a lot of hope for what's coming up over the next few years with young people and business and the entrepreneurial side of this amazing country that we're in.
Absolutely. Well, Todd, no, I appreciate all the kind words. I appreciate all the guidance. Like I said, a lot of the stuff that you do on the back end of things that I see as far as video work and stuff like that, it's really, truly inspirational. And you're for sure somebody I look up to and can't thank you enough for being that guy and being that platform. So appreciate your time there. So, well, guys, appreciate once again, everybody tuning in, listening to the show today. Once again, thanks Jason Cass, Agency Intelligence Podcast, for giving me the platform and the opportunity to guest host this show. Got some cool news going to come up for everybody as we get on the later part of my guest hosting. Got some fun announcements and some fun, exciting things that I hope brings some positivity, passion, and all around. My favorite thing to do is you can make a difference in someone's life every single day. You have the ability to do that. And it's guys like you, guys like Todd, guys like Cass that help make everything so fun and enjoyable. And for that, we thank you for listening. He's Saylor. I'm Gibson. Thanks for listening. We'll catch you next time on the Agency Intelligence Podcast. Take care.